Hey, Geometry. Here to talk about trigonometry today. We are going to start with labeling HOA. I've got a right triangle here, and I am going to place an ancient Greek symbol called theta in that corner of the triangle. That's an ancient Greek symbol called theta. And what it does is it holds the place of an angle. Theta is where we are going to start labeling our triangle from. Theta is where we're going to start labeling from. So I am going to highlight this side of the triangle, and I'm going to label that H. H stands for hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is always across from the right angle. The hypotenuse is always across from the right angle. I stopped highlighting at the top corner of my triangle. Now I'm going to continue highlighting that side and label that O. O stands for opposite. Opposite is always across from theta. Opposite is always across from theta. So I stopped highlighting at the right angle. I'm going to finish highlighting the triangle with that side, and that side is A. A stands for adjacent. And A always leads back to theta. A always leads back to theta. The next section is called Trig Operations. I've got a big S and then a fraction bar, a big C and then a fraction bar, a big T and then a fraction bar. Let me tell you what the S stands for. The S stands for sine. S-I-N-E. I abbreviate the word sine using S-I-N, and then next to it I'm going to put theta in parentheses. Sine parentheses theta really equals O over H. Remember, O in the picture above was my blue, and H in the picture above was my orange. Next to the big S, I'm going to fill in O over H. Now, for C. C really stands for the word cosine, C-O-S-I-N-E. We abbreviate cosine with COS. I'm going to put theta in parentheses next to it, and cosine theta really equals A over H. In the picture above, A was my green, H was still my orange. Next to the big C, I'm going to put A over H. And T stands for tangent. T-A-N-G-E-N-T. We abbreviate tangent with tan. Tan parentheses theta really equals O over A. Remember, O was still my blue, A still my green. Next to the big T, I'm going to write O over A. This is a very helpful way to remember your trig operations. You can turn it into a word Sohcahtoa. Say it with me, Sohcahtoa. You want to have this memorized. It will be very helpful to remember your trig operations. Sohcahtoa. So I want to show you how Sohcahtoa works when it comes to this example problem. On this example problem, I'm going to place theta in this corner right here. So, if theta is there, that means that this side of the triangle is h, then O opposite, and A adjacent. Theta will always be given to you so that you'll know where to start labeling. Over here on the right, we are going to find sine parentheses theta, cosine parentheses theta, and tan parentheses theta. So let's remember from Sohcahtoa that sine parentheses theta really equals O over H. So that would be my blue over my orange. Now I'm going to substitute 12 for O, 15 for H, and I'm going to simplify that fraction to 4/5. So sine parentheses theta really equals 4/5. Now for cosine. From Sohcahtoa, cosine really equals A over H. From the picture, A is 9, H is still 15. 9 over 15 can simplify to 3 over 5, or 3/5. And now for tan. From Sohcahtoa, tangent is really O over A. O is still my blue, A is still my green. O is 12, A is 9. 12 over 9 can simplify to 4 over 3, or 4/3. So that's our sine, cosine, and tangent for theta. The next section of our notes is trig equations, and I'm going to give you some steps before we get into an example. For a trig equation, step 1 is to label HOA. Step 2 is to choose from Sohcahtoa. You're not going to do every part of Sohcahtoa. You're just going to choose one part of Sohcahtoa to do. Step 3 is setup. If you choose sine, you're going to set it up like this. Sine parentheses theta equals O over H. And you'll end up substituting for theta, for O, and for H. if you end up choosing cosine, you'll set it up as cosine parentheses theta equals a over h, and you'll substitute for cosine. You'll substitute for theta, you'll substitute for a, and you'll substitute for h. And if you choose tan, you'll set it up like this. Tan parentheses theta equals O over A. And no surprise here, you'll substitute for theta, you'll substitute for O, and you'll substitute for A. Step 4 is to solve for x. So those are the steps that we're going to go through to solve a trig equation. And here's our example. I'm going to start by labeling HOA. So 27 degrees is going to serve as theta. This side is the hypotenuse, but I'm not going to label the h because there's no value or variable on h. So I'm not going to write the h, I'm just going to skip it. I'm going to move on to O opposite. There is a variable, so I write the O. And then A adjacent. There is a value, so I write the A. Now I'm going to write Sohcahtoa. And maybe you can see why I didn't write the H. I didn't write the H because I want you to focus on O and A for this problem. The part of Sohcahtoa that uses O and A is toa, tan, tangent. So we're going to set up tangent like this. Tan parentheses theta equals O over A. We're going to substitute for theta. We're going to substitute for O. And we're going to substitute for A. For theta, I'm going to use 27. For O, I'm going to use X. And for A, I'm going to use 10. Now that things are set up, we're going to solve for x. We are going to multiply by 10 on both sides. Those 10s will cancel. I'm going to write out 10 tan 27. And then, on my calculator, I'm going to calculate 10 tan 27, and it's 5.095. So that's our answer. That's our value for x. That's how long this side of the triangle is. Now, there are some other solving skills that I want us to talk about now. The first solving skill is when x is on top, like in the example we just did. I copied it here. I want to remind you that when x is on top in the numerator, we multiply. So, like we just did, going to multiply by 10. The 10s cancel. On the calculator, we do 10 tan 27. And we got 5.095. So, whenever x is on top in the numerator, you multiply. But x could be on bottom. I rearranged the example just for the heck of it. I put x on bottom. When x is on bottom, we are going to switch. Here's how you switch. You take tan 27, you take x, and you switch places. That means that x goes to this side by itself. And tan 27 goes to the denominator. I'm going to go to the calculator now. I'm going to write 10 divided by tan 27. And I get 19.626. So when x is on bottom, you switch. The last solving skill is when x is theta. So I rearranged the example yet again, just for the heck of it, and now x is theta. When this is the case, you are going to do something called inverse. Here is how inverse works. You are going to take the tan, you are going to move it right there, and it's going to become tan negative 1. So let me write this out. X equals tan negative 1, and then I'm going to throw some parentheses around the fraction. I'm going to go to my calculator. In order to write tan negative 1, I'm going to press second tan. And then I can do 10 divided by 27. And I get 20.323. And those are all the solving skills that you should need to know for trigonometry.